Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer.
Welcome home.
Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey, it's Amy from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey Clubbers, it's Scott from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, it's Kathleen from DVC Clubhouse.
Welcome aboard. It's Phil from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Debrief Podcast. This is Amy, joined by Phil, Scott, and Kathleen. Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hi guys.
Welcome aboard, guys.
The gang's all here. Finally,
Yeah.
all four of us
Been a
together
while,
on a
hasn't it?
podcast.
Yeah.
It has been a while. We've all been.
Everyone has their busy social schedules and traveling and you name it.
Power going out.
You got it.
Oh, that's right. We did have the power issues like 2 weeks in a row. It was you guys, then it was me and Amy. I don't know. The gods are conspiring against us, I think.
Yeah,
I
there
thought
was
we were
a
gonna
week,
have
right?
an issue
That
today because they're working on our cable lines outside. They're just like digging up everybody's yards to put in,
Oh yeah, we are getting a brand new cable company,
and it's
even though we
been
don't want
knocking
it.
everybody's.
Aren't they the ones that
Power off.
knocked everything out of commission a couple of
Yeah.
weeks ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's almost every other day now that we lose internet service because they accidentally cut the other company's cable line. Oops.
Accidentally.
Accidentally.
See,
I was going to ask if Amy is still with us because her picture is completely frozen in my screen.
oh, I'm here. Are you all here?
I see her.
I'm here. You guys
There
are
she
fuzzy,
is.
but
She's back.
there. Everybody's fuzzy.
That's not the screen. That's
I don't
you.
know.
Day drinking.
Yeah. There's craziness. I mean, we just had our second earthquake today in the past, like within the past few days. So who knows?
Oh, I didn't even hear about that.
Combine that with the solar flares and things are happening.
I just have the Bill Murray talking to the New York mayor scene in my mind from Ghostbusters. Fire, brimstone, cats and dogs living together.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like we're gonna talk about Disneyland, but I just feel like so much has happened between now and when we all were in Disneyland.
It's been so long ago, I don't even remember it now.
That's a lie.
That just means you have to go back again.
I don't think I would get any argument from somebody.
Since being in Disneyland, I've also been on a Disney cruise, went to Universal and went to Disney World and went to Wichita, Kansas. So,
Okay, number one, I have been to work in that time. That's it. Like no other place exciting. Number two, I have been to Wichita, Kansas, and my advice to everybody, if you have never been to Wichita, Kansas, don't.
Wasn't that the place that Amy,
feel
you
like-
posted that steak? Wasn't there a restaurant you went to that
Yes.
you... Oh, yeah, that looked really good.
it was amazing. I mean, in Kansas, they're known for their beef. So, it was out it's outstanding. I went there last summer too. My nephew is in musical theater and they do this summer season and he performed in Newsies. I joked that at least it was a Disney musical to keep on theme of my vacation since I was on a Disney cruise, went to Disney World, and then I went to Wichita to see Newsies. So I need to really dial back the memory to Disneyland because it does feel like it was a long time ago. So
It's been a
but
minute.
Scott and Kathleen, we've been waiting for all four of us to be together so that we could have this conversation because we want to hear your first impressions and thoughts and talk about all things Disneyland.
Let's talk about Disneyland.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Disneyland. Disneyland. It gives me kind of like the good feels when I even say it.
Does it really?
Yeah, it does.
You're lying.
No, it does. It really does. I'll tell you right now, the first thing I'm going to say is it reminded me of my old hometown theme park, Geauga Lake.
It did.
So it gives you the feels. Like it's not as big, it's not as um, extravagant, I guess, but it's that hometown neighborhood locals park that you can tell they put a lot of thought into, and it gives you the feels. There's a lot of nostalgia there. Obviously, there's a lot going on there that just makes you feel a certain way, and I have nothing, absolutely nothing negative to say about Disneyland at all.
The only negative thing I ever have to say about Disneyland is that I was not there long enough. That's always the one negative I come back with.
Do you think our trip was long enough?
Do I think our trip was long enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you're going, because it is so much different and there's not as much there, I think 3 days, 4 days is probably the sweet spot for a trip there. I think you can pretty much knock everything out. I think 3 days would probably be a good time frame between DCA and Disneyland. And
I think 4 days.
Phil's shaking his head. Are we
I
going
think
up?
it depends on how you're computing that. So if you just want to say how many days do you need at Disneyland Resort to get all of the rides done, then yes, you're right. You can do it in 3 days. But I think there's so much to experience there. There's so much history. There's so much to see. The park is just such a nest of little warrens and dens and paths and experiences that to say how long would it take to truly experience Disneyland Resort, I think you're at a minimum of 5 days. Yes, you can get all the rides and attractions technically done, but I don't think 3 days is nearly long enough to truly experience everything Disneyland Resort has to offer.
I don't know. I think just to go out and do the rides and do the main attractions is probably the main focus that we had. But you're right. I could see you saying that, but I think I say 3 days because that just gives me, a reason to go back and try to find and experience those things that you're talking about, Phil. Because there is a lot there. There's a lot.
Fair enough.
There's a lot to experience. And, the first time you go, of course, you just want to knock out the attractions and everything that everybody's heard about. But there's so much there that people just don't talk about. And we're very lucky that we had some pretty cool fellow clubber tour guides in Cindy, Joe, and Jessica. And Tom. Tom was out there too. Some West Coast clubbers who kind of showed us the ropes and gave us a nice little tour out there. So it was nice to have people that have been there many times. And they showed us some of those things that you're talking about, Phil, those little nooks and crannies, and told us some of the stories behind some of the things that we saw that we never would have known about had it not been for them.
Amy was shaking
I
her
was
head
going to
as
say,
well.
I think it's interesting because I think it's a fairly popular question to when people are going to Disneyland for the first time, especially after having been to Walt Disney World, is how long should I go for, or like what theme park ticket should I get? And most commonly, I see people say you should get a 3-day park hopper. I mean, I definitely think that a park hopper at Disneyland is a requirement because the ease with which you can travel between the two parks, I think just warrants it. And it just makes the experience just so much better because especially with, if you have Lightning Lane, the way that you can schedule them and just walk back and forth between the parks makes it so easy. But after having been there this time, and because I only went into the parks one day, I had a 1-day park hopper, but I wanted to spend more time there. I spent so much time at the 2 resorts and in downtown Disney. And I really think that I would say I think that overall, like having 5 days there would be awesome to be able to have 2 days, basically like 2 resort days. Because I think the Disneyland Hotel has become one of my favorite Disney resorts because it is so steeped in history and you just feel that history when you're there. It's like the nostalgia is just like surrounding you. But then you've got this also, I mean, I can't say enough about the weather. I mean, the weather there is so spectacular that it definitely elevates the experience because it's so pleasant to be outside. And they have clearly, you're in Southern California. Everywhere you go, there are places to sit outside. Restaurants have huge outdoor eating areas, and hotels have lots of outdoor space. And so having the ability to just sit outside at the Disneyland hotel with you've got, the tiki terrace there, you've got the monorail slides, you've got, the original towers there. It just feels like you are sitting in a Disney history book when you're sitting at the Disneyland hotel. And it's so cool. And I love the addition of the new DVC tower there because it kind of brings in like a little bit of like a nostalgic California feel. And knowing that Walt Disney had a house in Palm Springs, that was like a big big place where he hung out. I love how they themed that whole like Palm Breeze bar and the actual hotel because it kind of feels like they're like harkening back to that era too, like not just like the Disneyland part of it, but just to like how Walt's, how he vacationed, how he lived. And I love that hotel. So like being able to just sit there for a day and hang out at the pools or hang out at the outdoor like lounge areas that they have where you could just sit and relax. I love that. And then you've got a completely different experience with the Grand Californian, which to me just feels like this like majestic like nod to the other parts of California that people don't necessarily think of when they think about California. Like I think people think about LA and they think about the beach and they think about Disneyland, but people don't really think about the parts of California that are like rustic or woods or mountainous. And my daughter does this summer program, and it's in the forest, in the mountains, and it's cool that they have really like tapped into that part of California because California is such like a diverse has such like a diverse geography throughout the state. And so like having like paying homage to that part is so cool too. So I just think like the whole experience, like I feel like all of Disneyland, it's like a love letter to Walt Disney, and it's also like a love letter to California too.
Everything she said about Disneyland Hotel, that's how I feel. Like I could sit there all day and just like when we were at the Tiki Terrace and we were just sitting there, we got an appetizer and
We both said that we could just sit there. We
I mean
we
the
really
weather is
didn't want to get up and do anything. We just wanted to sit
unbelievable.
there.
Like it's so nice just to sit there and enjoy your time without sweating and wiping sweat off your face and being uncomfortable and your clothes are sticking to you. And it was just,
You didn't feel like you were tripping over a lot of people
no.
too. That was a big thing. Maybe just when we were there, the crowd levels were very manageable when we were there. Most of the rides on the one day that we were there were 5 or 10 minute waits. Even
And you
some of
went
the
in the
bigger
weekend
rides.
too, right?
We got there on a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were there over the weekend, and then we left the next week on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I know when we went, seeing it on the weekends were crowded, seeing it on the weekdays, not as much. There's obviously a lot of tourists, but it's still very much a locals park. So I'm surprised you had that experience with it being a weekend.
Very manageable, and like I said, even some of the bigger named rides were maybe 20 minutes, maybe the longest wait other than um, what's the Cars ride? I'm sorry, Radiator Springs.
Hmm.
Radiator Racers.
Radiator Racers. That was probably the longest one the whole time, but I think 30 minutes might have been the longest wait for some of the other rides. So it's a big difference. I mean, there's a lot, like Amy said, the weather is much more comfortable. And then when you're not tripping over people and, waiting in line for 45 minutes, that really helps out quite a bit too.
I feel like you need like 3 outfits for the day because like in the morning it's cool. Like I had like a Spirit jersey on, and then mid afternoon I would have to change into something like a tank top or even a t-shirt, and then by 6, 7 o'clock I'm back into a Spirit jersey again. Like I kept changing my clothes.
Yeah.
But I thought it was perfect. I thought the weather, I couldn't have asked for better weather. It was just amazing being able to experience something new like that and not being winded and tired and from the heat.
And like Amy said too, like both hotels, I think we really enjoyed both hotels in just different ways. Um, Grand Californian, because of just the easy access with, having the entrance right into downtown Disney, and then on the backside of it they have their own separate entrance into DCA, which was amazing. But honestly, I think, I guess if somebody were to say pick between the two, if you had to choose between the two hotels, I think I actually liked the Disneyland hotel, the tower, better, which kind of surprised me because I just liked how functional the room was. I liked the decor. Um, and like Amy said too, the Palm Breeze bar. They have the Broken Spell Lounge over there. Having Trader Sam's and Tiki Terrace is nice over there. But we described it, the hotel itself, as kind of a mashup if you took contemporary and Polynesian and just had like a little mix up of that. You kind of had a little bit of the best of both worlds there. But I will say, I guess it's not a negative, but it's a preference. It is the first time that I've stayed in a DVC resort that did not have a balcony. So I think just depending on which room you're in, I know some of them do, depending on the view, but we didn't have a balcony. And I'm always going to complain about the transient tax. I didn't enjoy paying that at the end of a point stay. But that's just a personal preference for me, and that's nitpicking. But like I said, that's the first time we've been at a DVC resort where we didn't have a balcony.
I love how you say that the transient tax and having a problem with that is a personal preference. I don't know too many people who are just begging to spend extra to go stay at a DVC room. I think that that's probably the most popular opinion you could come up with.
Yeah, it's just not something, as much as we stay down here at Disney World, it's just not something that we're used to, and it's definitely not a pleasant experience to see that bill, because it was actually a little bit more than what I had figured it was going to be. I mean, and they said too, depending on what room you get, the larger size rooms you get, of course, the larger the tax. And I think some of the grand villas, they said, can actually be up to about $500 per day for that tax. So that's just, it's insane to me that you have to pay that on top of using your points, but it is what it is.
Leave it to California.
So I stayed in one of the garden view rooms this time. The first time I stayed there, I had just like a regular deluxe studio that did not have a balcony. And being able to stay in those garden rooms was so awesome because I had quite a sizable balcony, and being able to sit out there in the morning and just overlook that pool area at the DVC tower and see the Palm Breeze bar in the distance, like that. If if I could, it's the one reason why I would like consider buying points there, is so that when I stay there, I could at least have a chance. Like it, I went for one night. It was like a fluke that I was able to get that room. And if, I mean, there's only 8 of those rooms over in that garden wing, and there aren't that many in the tower that have balconies. So, and I mean, I think that's just might be the luck of the draw too. So, I mean, to me, it would be like the one reason why I would think like, well, should I add like 50 points at that hotel just so that I can maybe have a shot at 11 months of trying to book one of those, if like for when I do want to go, because those rooms, I would stay in those rooms every time if I could, because the view and the balcony were just so awesome, and being surrounded by palm trees, and I just absolutely loved it over there. And you know, to your point, Scott, about like saying that the Disneyland Hotel is kind of like a mashup of contemporary and Polynesian. I just, being at the Disneyland Hotel makes me look at the contemporary and feel like what a missed opportunity it was when when they did those refurbs, and they decided to refurb the contemporary rooms to be incredible themed instead of being like a tribute to Mary Blair and a tribute to like the history of Walt Disney World or even Disneyland. Because I think that that nostalgia at the Disneyland Hotel is just so incredible. and that style, and it kind of like just it feels like a little bit like you're stepping back in time. And I would love for that to be the feel at the Contemporary. And I think that they achieved it kind of in the lobby, like the main lobby at the Contemporary. But once you get to the Grand Canyon Concourse, like you kind of lose that a little bit. And then the rooms being Incredibles themed just feels like so out of left field when they could have really done something special that would have really been a tribute to Mary Blair, especially since you have her mural in the lobby. Like, why not carry those themes into the rooms? And I think that they do such a nice job of that at the Disneyland Hotel and in the new tower. So I wish that they would have done more of that at the Contemporary.
Two separate points there. I think number one, the Grand Canyon Concourse has the potential to be everything you want it to be. But we've said it before. It's full of mall kiosks and pop-up shops. They've destroyed the feel of the Grand Canyon Concourse in order to maximize all the space. The Contemporary could easily remember, it was the flagship resort when they opened. That was the one. It could easily become everything we want it to become, but they'd have to give up all those little shops and everything else. And you mentioned buying points so you could have access to a very specific block of rooms. That, unless or until they build another 5 hotels at Disneyland, is just a universal problem. You have to walk a reservation in order to get any appreciable amount of time at the Disneyland Resort. And I hate walking, and it drives me nuts that it even exists. But if you want to stay there for more than a day or two at a time, you're going to have to walk if you don't have that 11-month priority, because it's nearly impossible to get a long range reservation there.
Yeah, we rented our points. We had no choice.
Yeah, when I stayed at the Grand Californian, I did that too because I had pieced together a stay for what was supposed to be a stay that was supposed to happen in April of 2020, which then of course had to be canceled. But it took forever for me to piece that stay together. And when we were rescheduling that trip, I said, forget it. I'm just gonna rent somebody's points because it's too difficult to plan. And you're not like if you're not guaranteed to get it, then like how are you gonna book airfare? And
Yeah.
so at 11 months, I just did it, and I was able to book it with no problem by renting points from somebody at the 11-month mark. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's wildly popular, and there's not a lot of an inventory out there. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it'll
on
be
either
interesting to
side.
see now when where they, with this Disneyland Forward project and building another resort and having more DVC rooms, if that problem starts to get a little bit better. But I mean, I can't imagine that it will because, I mean, look how many hotels we have in Disney World, and it's still a
Hmm.
problem in most places. And I mean, and honestly, it's become a little bit shocking to me. Even you used to always be able to like if you wanted to book something last minute, get something at Old Key West or something at Saratoga Springs. But there have been several times lately where I've looked just to say like, oh well, what if I were to add a night here or do something here? I mean, it is booked solid at everywhere, and you really need
At
to be like
5 months.
stalking the. Yeah,
Like, not
that's what I
even we're not
mean. Like,
talking, do you remember years ago, you used to be able to go to the DVC website and it would be stays available in the next 30 days, and you could pull down that drop down and there would be banks of nights at most of the resorts. You were never gonna get the small resorts, the beach clubs, things of that nature. But Saratoga, Old Key West, Animal Kingdom, there were stays all over the place within 30 days. Good luck finding that now. We're finding now, even at 5 months, if plans change, good luck. You are not making a change at 5 months. You might be able to get Old Key West or Saratoga, but even that is drying up almost immediately. It's incredible to me how much that inventory seems to have dried up. And I can't come up with a really good reason why that's the case, because you would think the number of nights and rooms and points has remained consistent, at least on a percentage level, but you just can't find it anymore. It's impossible.
I think that it's because of the resale market. Because I think that now that the resale market has gotten so robust, people who aren't using their contracts are selling them. Whereas I think probably 5, 10 years ago, before the resale market became as robust and before social media made it as known that you can actually sell your contract for a profit, people would just sit on them and they would bank the points. So not everyone was using their points every year. Now with the resale market, everyone is using their points every year.
Well, I would also say that the rentals are playing a part in it as well. There's a reason that Disney is starting to crack down on rentals because people used to sit on points or give up points, and now everything is up for rent. So I think that also probably has some sort of play into it.
Yeah, there's a way for people to use their points when they're not using their points. And in the past, it was kind of like people would either, they would bank their points, they would, and now that you either sell your contract or you rent your points out to make some money back, and everyone is using their points. There's not just like random points out there because people just don't know what to do with them. But anyway, we digress from the Disneyland conversation. I don't think that it's necessarily gonna a new resort is necessarily gonna alleviate the problem. And in fact, it might make it even worse because you're gonna have more West Coast owners potentially, depending on, the investment that West Coast Disney fans are gonna make. Because like look, I mean, I look at Cindy and Joe and they were not, I think they bought a small contract out there and then they were like, we love it here, and they added more points. So they have a lot of points out there, they have a lot of points in Florida, and they use them. I mean, they love it out there, so they use
Yeah.
them, and I think that people who are big Disney fans that are out there will buy them and they'll use them because it's local and it's easy for them to get to.
Yeah, and smaller contracts for shorter stays, so it's far more varied. So, looking at the time, I think maybe we want to hold off on talking about the parks experience until the next episode, but we've got a little bit of time left. I'm very curious. You guys stayed in both resorts. Amy, you've stayed at both resorts. We have personally only stayed at Grand Californian. I'd love to hear which one you guys liked better, or if it's impossible to decide because they're so different, or compare, contrast. I think that's probably a good place to kind of lead out here today.
Amy can go first.
So on this past trip, I have decided that my first choice for a place where I would want to stay would be at the Disneyland Hotel. And the reason why is for all of the reasons why I said before. It's like the nostalgia, it's like the love letter to Walt Disney, to the Disneyland nostalgia. It's a love letter to California, but it's really the outdoor spaces at that hotel that really sell it for me. There are so many great places to just sit outside and relax, and and you feel like it's like you're contained by the towers on every side, but you've still got, plenty of sunshine and palm trees, and then you do have like the Polynesian feel, you have the feel of the monorail hotel. Like, I don't know, there's just something about there's like this energy and this nostalgia and this vibe about the Disneyland hotel that just made me want to be there a ton. Now, I love the Grand Californian, but I think that it's much bigger. I think that the DVC wing of that hotel is like a little bit far from stuff like all of the restaurants. So it feels like a little bit of a trek to get over there, whereas at the Disneyland hotel, everything feels a little bit more a little bit closer together, so it's not as difficult to navigate. And I love the end. I love this, like this new stuff that they've done at Downtown Disney with the Parkside Market and I can't think of the name of the restaurant that I went to, Din Tai Fung, and now they're going to be building that new steakhouse down there. Like I enjoy that end of Downtown Disney more than I enjoy the end closer to the Disney's Grand Californian, just because there's like it's more shopping centric down there, whereas at the end closer to the Disneyland Hotel, I feel like it's more dining and bar focused, which for me is great because like it just gives you more options. And it also has, like you said, Scott, before, it's got the Broken Spell Lounge, it has the, Trader Sam's, it has Palm Breeze. It just like you could spend a couple of days at the Disneyland Hotel and not have to leave and not repeat things that you're doing that much because there's like so many
Yeah.
different things to do while you're there.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you say about this.
As beautiful as Grand Californian is, I mean, it is, it's beautiful and it's very like cozy and warm. I if I had a choice, I would definitely pick Disneyland Hotel every time. I don't even have to stay at Grand Californian again. As much, I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. I just prefer the Disneyland Hotel for all the reasons Amy said. It's just there's always something there, and it's comfortable. You can be outside, and it's. I feel like at Grand Californian, you almost want to be inside because you want to experience the grand lobby and everything else in there. Like outside is like really nothing.
Well, outside, all you've got is the crowded pool,
Yeah.
Craftsman, and then Catella. Like, there's nothing else. You can go out
Yeah.
one side of the hotel and be in the park. You can go out the other side of the hotel and be on the main road. And there's not even much of a parking lot or an entry there. Or you can be at the pool. That's really it. So Disneyland Hotel definitely does give you a lot more options being out of the building itself.
Yeah, and I love the rooms. The rooms in there were nice. They're functional, like Scott said. I thought Grand Californian had got a refurbishment on rooms. Maybe they did and they didn't finish them yet. I'm not really sure, but ours definitely was not a refurbished room. But it was desperately in need of one. But I just I don't know. I can't really say enough about the Disneyland Hotel. There isn't one thing that I could complain about that hotel. Nothing.
Except for the
I
transient
think it's
tax.
perfect. Well, other than that, yes.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it has everything that I'm looking for in a resort, like a resort stay even. I do agree with Scott about the balcony, but it's not like they don't have any. They do. There's not many.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. This is a hard question because I want to make it 3 for 3, but I really feel like if the Grand Cal got a refurb, I would be Team Grand Cal, just because the only knock that I really give it was just the functionality of the room. You know, we talk about it. It didn't have plugs. It was really hard to find a plug. And you could tell it was a little dated. The room that we were in was a little dated, but they're just two completely different hotels, two completely different experiences. One is going to give you that, like we talked about, the contemporary feel, the tower feel. But you have so much nostalgia there being in the Disneyland Hotel. And the other one is going to be the more traditional grand lobby that you're used to when you walk into a Wilderness Lodge or an Animal Kingdom. So I don't know. I mean, it's really tough for me because I enjoyed both, but I enjoyed the Grand Cal just because of the lobby, you know, that the fireplace that was in there. I like the dedicated entrance into DCA. I thought that was cool, and I actually liked where it came out into downtown Disney because I thought it was a more central location to come out into downtown Disney. And I don't know, I like them both. So it's just really hard for me to pick which one I would stay at. I just really, really hated that tax. But I mean, that's all I could really say that would be bad about the Disneyland Hotel.
But we hung out more at Disneyland Hotel, on the actual premises of the hotel, more than we did at at the Grand California, though.
I think so, but to be fair, we had one day that was an off day that just happened to be when we were at Disneyland Hotel. I think our Grand Cal days were both park days, so we were, you know, because we were there a limited time, we wanted to make sure that we knocked out everything that we could in the park. So that kind of limited our time in the actual hotel. But they're both beautiful. I mean, you know, like Amy said, they're just two completely different hotels, but they're really cool in you know, each their own way. But I don't know. It would be hard for me to pick. If they got that refurb and everything was like new and updated, I think I would actually go Grand Cal.
That's crazy to me. Even when they do get the refurbishment, I'm still gonna pick Disneyland Hotel.
His and hers.
Getting a
resorts.
refurbishment isn't going to
I'll be
make me
across
want to
the
stay
street.
there anymore. It's just in the room.
What?
The refurbishment's only the room,
Well, that's the only thing I'm really complaining about.
but there's nothing else to do there.
Wh-
Like, there's
I don't agree with
I mean,
that.
there
Like I said,
is,
there
but
are perks. I mean, we went to Storytellers, the restaurant there, and I thought that was a solid meal.
yeah, it was.
We did not get to go to the lounge, and I wanted to. It was the Hearthstone Lounge that they have there. Phil, you talked about the outdoor pool bar that they have. The pool looked really great. We didn't even get to experience that. They have a really nice quick service. I know Disneyland Hotel had the coffee shop there. That was really nice that you liked. But I think each one had its own kind of cool, unique things about it. But I think I would, I just preferred the location of the Grand Cal, just being able to walk right into DCA, being able to walk right out into downtown. Like it was such a big hassle that I had to walk across the street, from Disneyland.
Yeah, I feel like
Hotel.
it's like comparing Grand Floridian to Beach Club. They're both amazing in their own way, but they both have such a vastly different feel and so vastly different benefits that it really just depends on my mood. What does my vacation consist of? What it is I want to do? What parks am I focusing on? Am I focusing on the parks? What kind of room do I want to sit in? What pool do I want? Depending on how those factors come into play, I could choose one or the other.
And I would never be unhappy to stay at the Grand Californian. I just, and for me, it definitely does come down to the outdoor spaces, because the outdoor spaces at Grand Californian are all places that, for the most part, like you either have to be at the pool or you have to have a reservation to go to, the GCH bar and grill, unless you sit at the bar. Whereas at the Disneyland Hotel, there are groupings of seating all over the outdoor space, which is really just what I love about it. But, Grand Californian does have Hearthstone Lounge is great. I mean, I ate there last when I was just there. And I think, it's a shame that you guys were not able to go to Napa Rose, because Napa Rose is excellent. And there are some outdoor spaces. Like, I honestly, I think that, like, also to Phil's point, depending on the time of year, I think that if I were to go to Disneyland in more of like the winter months when it's even cooler out there, staying at Grand Californian and having that cozy feel of the lobby and the fireplaces
Yes.
is great. Being there during the summer, I wanted to sit outside and feel like it just felt like summertime, like California vibes. Like that's what I wanted at that time. But on a cool day or a rainy day, the Grand Californian all the way.
Absolutely.
All right, so what do you guys say we end this here, and then we will pick up next week to talk about your experience with the parks and the differences, the things you liked, maybe some of the things that caught you off guard, and how you felt walking down that main street the first time.
Oh, we're going to do a throwdown, ride versus ride.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. We will pick this back up again next week, talk about Walt Disney World, the parks versus Disneyland, the parks. If you've got a minute, you get on over to Apple Podcasts, give us a like, a 5-star review. We would appreciate it. Amy?
And if you don't already belong to our Facebook group, DVC Clubhouse, please go ahead over there and join the group. Please make sure to respond to the group questions. We really count on people responding to the group questions to know that that you're real people. So make sure to respond to the group questions and you'll get into the group. But you can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And until next time, we'll DVC you real soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
And so our journey comes to an end.
Oh, no, please, can't we go back to page 1 and do it all over again?
We started this thing together, and that's how we'll finish it.
Because that, my friends, is where the magic lives.
Happily